Throws. On a cold Christmas Eve, a man named George Pratt stood on a bridge, staring down at the dark, icy water. Life had thrown him one too many curveballs. His dreams of traveling the world, of becoming an architect, had been swallowed up by duties to his family and his small town of Bedford Falls. Mistake at his building and loan company threatened to ruin everything, and George felt like a complete failure. He thought everyone, especially his family, would be better off if he had never been born. As he leaned over the railing, a strange little man with a cheerful face and slightly rumpled clothes appeared beside him. "I wouldn't do that if I were you," the man said with a gentle smile. "Troubles? Well, we all have them." George, startled, just grumbled. "You don't understand. I wish I'd never been born." The little man's eyes twinkled. "You wish you'd never been born? Are you sure about that, George? That's a very big wish." He introduced himself as a sort of angel, second class, sent to help. Before George could protest, the angel snapped his fingers. "All right, you've got your wish. You've never been born." Suddenly, the wind felt colder, the town quieter. The friendly Bedford Falls George knew was gone. He walked into town, but it was now called Pottersville, a loud, grim place full of neon signs and unhappy faces. The warm, community-focused town he had worked so hard to build had vanished. He went to find his friends and family, but no one recognized him. His kind Uncle Billy was locked away in an institution because George wasn't there to save him from a financial mistake. His best friend, Bert, the cop, didn't know him and was suspicious of this stranger. Even the local pharmacist, Mr. Gower, was a broken man who had spent years in jail. George remembered the day he had stopped Mr. Gower, who was grieving his son, from accidentally poisoning a child's prescription. Without George, that tragedy had happened. He ran to where his family's business, the Bailey Building and Loan, should have been. It was gone, replaced by a cheap, run-down shop. His efforts to provide affordable housing for the town's families had never happened. His heart ached when he saw what had become of his beloved wife, Mary. Without George in her life, she was a quiet, timid librarian who had never married, never had their wonderful children. She looked right through him with fear in her eyes, a stranger to the man who loved her more than life itself. The most crushing blow came when he visited the cemetery, too. He found a small, neglected gravestone for his younger brother, Harry. George remembered pulling Harry from a frozen lake as a boy, saving his life. Without George, Harry had drowned. The war hero who had saved a transport full of soldiers never existed. The weight of it all crushed him. Every life he had touched he had made better, richer, and safer. Standing back on that same bridge, shivering and desperate, George begged for his life back. "Please, please let me live again," he cried out to the heavens. "I want to live. I don't care what happens to me, I want to live." And just like that, the familiar feel of his town returned. But the cop found him, calling him by name. He ran home, bursting through the door to his surprised but loving family. There, in his living room, were all his friends and neighbors. They had heard about his trouble and had rallied together, pooling their money to save him and the building and loan. Mary was in his arms, his children were clinging to him, and the room was filled with love. Looking at the pile of money from his friends, George finally understood. The little angel had left a book with a note. No man is a failure who has friends. George realized his ordinary life was, in fact, a wonderful life, filled with the greatest gift of all, the love of family and friends.